Finally, an update. They're making some changes to Rose, to Zorak, and also how our stamina works, which I think is really cool. I think the max stamina before was 120. Now it's 150, but there's way more to it than that. If you're offline for any amount of time, you'll get stamina in a reserve. Up to 720 stamina. That's insane. One stamina will be restored every 20 minutes up to 720. And then I guess from this reserve, we just put it over to our normal stamina pool, and we've got some extra stamina. So if you're offline for an extended amount of time, I guess don't worry about it as much. You'll be able to come back in and use that stamina whenever you want to. If you want to read over these updates, they're inside the game. Come down here below the mailbox and you can read all through these. But I'm going to show you how Rose is functioning now and how Zorak is functioning and playing them together against the Vortex boss. Also, there's a buff that's popping up. There's a damage increase buff that I already put over in content creator chat asking about this. I'll put a picture on screen for it later after we talk about Rose and Zorak, because I think they'll have it fixed by the time you see this video, because I don't know where this increased damage is coming from. I've seen it in arena, multiple stacks. Maybe it's their future plan so that there won't be any stall teams in arena. We'll get this increased damage buff over and over, and then somebody will eventually win. We won't have it stall out, like timeout. We'll actually have a winner in arena, even against those stall teams. That would be great. So I'm not really sure what this damage buff is about, but let's look at Rose. She's supposed to heal anybody next to this boss or anybody next to anyone that is around an enemy that she hits. And she just wouldn't do it on these bigger enemies. Their hitbox was too big. So now they've changed her to only heal the 2 lowest HP people on your team and to remove buffs from them, which is actually pretty sweet, but I don't think it's changing allies. I think once it picks 2 allies that are low, it keeps healing those 2 and removing buffs from those 2. Unfortunately, I don't see it skipping to heal somebody else. You know how somebody like Varesh, he'll heal somebody that's low, and as they get higher up, he'll switch over and start healing somebody else that then is lower. I don't think she's doing that. And it's kind of sad if she doesn't, because yeah, I feel like she's just picking those same 2 targets and only those same 2 targets all the time. We'll have to do some more testing, because I want her to switch over to another target because we want her to remove any debuffs they have on them. That's a big pull for that, but she's much better than she was before. I'm actually enjoying playing Rose. She's really powerful with that decreased attack. Cannot be resisted if she has a buff on. We get some heals, we get some debuff removal, give her some enlightenment so she can get those 6 hits out there. It's pretty good, especially really good for Radiant, since we don't have a lot of decreased attackers for them. And she's got slow speed. That recharge speed penalty, that's right, those together slowing down any boss. Unfortunately, we can't slow down the Vortex boss, but slowing down the normal dungeon bosses plus decreased attack makes it really easy for any team to go in there and not have to worry about skill haste. Make sure we can cycle through our abilities and beat it easily. She's doing extremely well, when normally I'd have a healer in here that heals the whole entire group off of 2 abilities, the battle skill and the ultimate, plus blocks this decreased defense. I feel like we're doing great with her. So I think she's going to be really viable. She was viable before, but now she's much better. The 2 heroes that she heals, they don't need to be up against anything. It's just going to do 2. So I think that's pretty good. Let's skip forward and see the damage. Here's the damage we've got, 41 million. Now I'm going to switch out Blooded with Zorak, and we're going to see what kind of damage we get. I do go over to the test dummy because I'm curious about that damage increase. I was wondering, is it Rose giving us that damage increase? But over here, when I'm on the test dummy, I don't see it come up. I do see them both being healed though, and they don't need to be up against an enemy like they needed to be before. So that's pretty sweet. Let's look at Zorak. I'm going to gear him out, and we're going to put him in here and put the same kind of times we had. Of course, he's got a legendary artifact on right now. We're going to give him some awesome gear, just like Bledin had amazing gear. And we're going to see what he does for the team overall. Shinna, I had Witch's Remains on before so I could get that decreased defense up with her. Now that she's in full DPS along with Girth, I think Zorak is doing much better because he's enabling both of them to do more damage, although he doesn't do a lot of damage himself, and it's all because of that passive. The wording they changed was that whenever he gives everyone his passive, that they don't get additional ice crystals, and it's always been this way, unfortunately. Now, it's never properly read that way. It always read like we would get his passive. Whenever we do the ability on the passive, we would get an ice crystal, which would increase all of our damage. It would be great. It's just like Shin is doing here, giving us those ice crystals so we can do our battle skill over and over. Unfortunately, Zorak doesn't do that. So he's not really an ice crystal enabler. We can't bring him in place of, like, Girth needs somebody to put ice crystals on. And the people we have to do that are Shinna, Bledin, and Nord, the rared melee guy. We'll give ice crystals to people to make sure that they can keep doing their battle skill over and over, because Girth by herself just isn't good enough. She only gives herself one ice crystal. We need somebody in there to really power her up. And we thought before Zorak could do that. We thought he could at least help out your ice crystal team, but unfortunately, he doesn't. And that's kind of sad. They really need to fix him in a different way, I feel like. I feel like that passive should let other people get ice crystals. That way they can start doing their moves more often. Although I'm pretty sure we're capped out on ice crystals. I can see 5 on Zorak. He's going to use those as soon as he does his battle skill. I can see 4 or 2 on Shinna right now. Shinna gives a lot. She really does. Bledin gives a lot as well. Normally I'd have Bledin in here instead of Zorak because he was doing better. Bledin was doing better than Zorak for quite a long time. But after this run, I'm not sure. Now that I can get a lot more damage from Shinna because Rose has Witch's Remains and is applying the decreased attack along with the decreased defense, Shinna is pumping out quite a bit along with Girth. So now Zorak is giving us that 40% additional damage. And so overall, I think it's much better for my team. 46 million is more than the 43 I've been getting every day. So I'm going to play with this team until we get Ardrith, and then we'll just have to, you know, play around with Ardrith along with Garius and see what kind of team comps we can make. I'll put up the screenshot of all those damage buffs in Arena. I don't know what's going on. Maybe we'll know more about this and we'll leave it in the comments below later. Once they get back to us, maybe in content creator chat, or you guys figure out what's going on with all those damage buffs you're seeing right now in Arena. And I really hope it's to combat those stall teams so we don't time out. I don't want to go 3 minutes in a fight and lose because I can't beat the defense, right? Because they just sitting there and healing and reviving and reviving. If this increased damage buff is for that and they just let it slip in and they need to correct it, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's nice that maybe at that last minute we can start increasing damage over and over and over and finally at least get somebody to win the match and not just have everybody alive at the very end. I don't think that's cool at all. But here are the notes. Guys, go check this out. Let me know your thoughts on Zorak, Rose, and this increase in stamina. I think the stamina thing is really, really cool. I like that we can save up and convert it over up to a 720. I think it's going to take a long time to get 720, but this is still really a nice addition. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Appreciate your love and support. I will see you all in a video soon.